Oh yeah, look at that, roofing panels. Good afternoon, guys. As you can tell from that little beginning video, I was pretty excited about finding the roofing material. So this is going to be part 6 of the shed build, and this is my 4th job today. So I went to work this morning, and then I went and helped install a solar system, or installed some panels for a solar system. And then I went to move a piano, and now I'm back home and can finally work on my own stuff. So as you can see above me, there's some roofing material up there. It's not installed, it's just set on the roof right now, just to get it off of my vehicle. But yeah, this is going to be episode 6 of the shed build. And thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. All right. So basically all these panels are just set on top of here for right now. And you can see how they look like they're all different lengths. The reason for that is because they'll need to be trimmed. So this one's sticking out the furthest, obviously, because it's touching the downspout of the gutters there. This one's sticking out because it's hitting one of the rafters for the carport. Same with this one, same with this one, same with this one. So I don't know if you can focus on it, but you see the rafters there. So basically what I have to do is I'm going to have to cut a notch the size of the rafter in the panel so that I can push it all the way into the blocking of the carport roof. So these panels I ended up picking up in Kona. Today is Monday. We went to Kona yesterday, which was Father's Day. But I mean, we also, we went to Costco, we stopped by the beach. So we were running a few errands. We didn't drive over there just for this, although this was one of the main things that I was looking for. So anyway, I have my paneling now. It is lined up on the end of the roof there. And then if you look over here, let me get off this ladder. You can see where I cut these panels was almost just right. I'm going to end up having to take another inch or so off of this. Basically, I want the fascia board, I guess, on this side to line up right with this ridge here. So it'll line up right here. So this part will be overhang. I may actually end up doing it out here, but I don't know. This will end up getting cut a little bit. So in addition to cutting out where the rafters are, which you see right here, it's running into the rafters, so that's going to need to get cut right there. And then all the way down on all the panels that are sticking out, that's going to happen. So basically that's what's going to happen on this video. It's going to be trimming up the roof, getting the roof screwed down, and getting it installed. And I think before I do any of this, I'm going to paint at least the top of the rafters and fascia boards so that the part that's underneath the roof is painted. And then these sides I'll paint probably after, as well as underneath here. I'll probably paint that after, because I may even wait until I get the paneling in here to paint, but we'll see. What I'm doing up here is I'm basically marking out where the cutouts are going to go. So I will have one cutout here that'll go around the gutter drain, and then there's going to be another one because there's I don't know if it's showing up on screen or not, but there's one of the rafters for the carport is under here. So there's going to also be a cutout here. And then I'm measuring the distance, which the shadow of my phone's right on it, is roughly about 13 inches there, just over 13. So I'm probably actually going to cut it about 13 and a half when I do my cuts back for for the drain. The rafter is only going to end up being, I think, about 6.5 inches. And then what I did on the inside is I went to the locations where the beams were, and I marked the spot out, and then I measured from the blocking plate to the edge. So this one's 6.5. This one here is 6 3/4. This one is also 6 3/4. So that way I have a marking of where to cut these out and how far. So the process now is going to be pulling each one of these down individually, trimming it, fitting it, and then possibly trimming it again. And then once it's cut and everything fits and it goes up to the blocking on the carport rafters, then I will screw that panel down. Then I'm going to move to the next one. I'm going to pull it out, trim it, fit it, trim it as many times as I need to till it fits, and then I'll put that panel down. So that's basically what's going to happen, and then I'll just go step by step on each one of the panels. And then there's one panel here which there's no rafters, so that one is just going to get nailed in. That'll be the easy one. Every other one of them, though, needs to have some kind of trimming done on it. Yeah. And then also on this side, this is what the overhang is going to be like. So it's basically going to be just one of the ridges is going to overhang. So where the first flat is going to line up on here. And I'm just noticing now that I think maybe my slab wasn't totally square on this side. So you don't really notice that when you're doing the framing, because if you don't check for square, then everything just looks like it fits. But now that I have a big square panel that's going on the roof, I'm noticing that it's kind of not, going the right way. And even if you look close, you can see this piece here. It looks like it has a little bit of a bend in it right towards the end there. So, I mean, it's not perfect. I'm not a carpenter professionally or a framer or anything like that. And again, this is going to be practice. So I'm going to learn from my mistakes on this shed. I will improve when I build the garage. And then once I build the big house on the property and the other stuff that I'm going to be building over there, hopefully I'm better. So that's what this is all about. The shed is the first time thing. Make mistakes, learn from it, move on. All right, so using my square and the ruler, I basically just traced out the parts that I'm going to need to cut on here and on here. And then I'm just going to be using tin snips to cut these out. So I'm going to do the first cut, and then I'll do a test fit and see how it fits up. And then if it's good, then I'll button it down. If not, then I will trim some more. All right, so I got this one all cut up, and it's pretty much all the way up to the blocking. It's not perfectly straight against the blocking, but that was because of what I was saying, where I think that the slab was not quite square. So also because of that, the overhang here is not gonna quite be the same all the way down. I don't know if that just showed up because I'm standing above it, but anyway, yeah, this ridge will not quite be lined up all the way down. It's going to be tilted just a little bit in. So if I make a small correction here and then a small correction on the next one, by the time I get across, it'll be straight again. So sometimes that's what you got to do. And then all of this will get closed up with silicone or tape. So that'll be sealed up all the way around that pipe. And then I'll take the piece that I cut out and I will trim it and put it back in this space back here. And then let me step down the ladder. And this area here will get, I end up putting a board here that will go into the rafter here of the carport, and then this end will get cut off. So that way it'll have support on this side. And then, like I said, I'll put in the piece I cut out here, seal everything with silicone, and then that'll be, should be pretty waterproof. All right, so I'm up on the roof. They sell color match screws. So I got the white ones, even though these screws look a little bit not the same white, but that's what they sell. And they did have longer and shorter screws, and I got the longer screws because I thought that I was going to be going through the ribs. The directions for this, you know, according to the manufacturer, is they want you to actually screw into the flats. So still kind of on the fence on that, but I mean, I guess if that's what they suggest, then that's what I'm probably going to do. So basically each purlin, I'll do 3 screws, which will be right next to the rib, next to the center rib, and then next to this rib. And then there's 4 purlins going down, so that'll be the screws that'll be going in. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm using my square along the ridge, and then I'm using my ruler to give me a line to put my screws. So I don't know if it shows up, but this is where the first purlin is, and it's a 2x4, so you have 3.5 inches. But just for cosmetics, you want to try and keep your screws all the way across, you know, the whole roof in line. So I'm going to go ahead and punch in the first 3 screws here, and then we'll move to the next purlin, and so on. All right, so the first panel is installed, and again, I think I miscalculated on the number of screws I was going to need, so I will need to get some more screws to do the last row there. I do have some extra, but I'm not sure exactly how many extra I have. I think that I bought 80 because you just buy them out of a big bin. So you grab what you think you need. So I just want to make sure that I have all 4 purlins secure, because the roof is not going to go anywhere. So by this weekend I will get some more screws so that I can go into the fascia board there at the end. And then I also still need to put the foam up underneath, so it'll actually run along where the blocking is. There's a little foam piece that matches the rib line, and that will get installed as well. Okay, so after thinking about it a little bit more, I don't think I'm going to put any more of these panels down right now. I want to get some silicone to run along the ribs, so when one piece overlaps the other piece, I want to run a bead of silicone down that rib. And I didn't really think about that when I started doing this. So I need to get some silicone for that. And then, so what I'm going to do for right now is I'm going to just trim all of the little cutouts that go around the carport rafters, and then just put them in place. And they should be fine. I don't think I'm going to get like any crazy wind or anything that's going to blow them off. Hopefully not. And then once I get the silicone, I will continue on with this. And I know I'm not filming a lot of this. I'm just trying to kind of get it done. It takes time and it's slow going. So once I get all these trimmed and I do get the silicone, then I should be able to do a good time lapse of putting each of the next set of panels down. So right now the only one that's down is the very first panel. So I'm going to try and dry this out a little bit more. Let me try. There is just a little bit of water on here, you know, from rain from this morning or last night or whenever it was. So I'm drying this off with a towel before I lay the panel on top of it. Just to kind of let it dry out some more. So I'm going to continue cutting, trimming these pieces so that I can get them all in place where they need to be. And then, like I said, once I get the silicone, I will continue from there. But that'll just be like a second for you guys. All right. Whew, man, it's hot outside. Okay, so all the panels are screwed in up until this last one, but I only put the first row of screws in because I still have to cut this in board and cut these boards and put the fascia board on. Whew. Man, I really like time-lapse. You can't hear all my cussing. All right, so this is all I'm going to do on this part right here. There's barely any hanging over. That'll be more than enough to support it. And I put silicone along there, so it'll kind of hold it in place. It's not really going to go anywhere anyway. And then this is going to end up getting painted. So I siliconed along that entire edge and then also over the screw holes. And same thing here on the end. Siliconed over all the screw holes. And then what I'm getting ready to do now is to cut these boards. So this will be basically my fascia piece here. I'm gonna have a 45-degree cut just like on the other side down there. And then it'll actually come in behind this. So it's basically gonna follow this rib right here. And then all these are gonna get cut. And then it will tie into the blocking there for the roof rafters. The two little holes, that's where I'll drill, and then I'll screw from the other side. So that will actually be attached here as well. And then, actually, now I completely forgot. This piece, I'm actually gonna cut this back. I forgot. Good thing I just thought of it now. I'm actually going to put a 45 right here. And then I'm going to also cut the roof to that 45. Because eventually this is where the driveway is going to come through. So I don't want to have like this corner of the roof sticking out. And then if a truck or taller, you know, something comes by, like my FJ, I would totally clip this corner if I was too close. So I am going to do a 45 there. So basically what that's going to entail is I will run my fascia board down to this point from here, and then it'll stop. There will be a 90. I'll do a 45 cut, and then to here I'll do a straight 90 cut, and then the 45 will screw into it. And then I'll get my line on the roof, and then I'll cut the roof. All right, so this piece of fascia is installed, and I got my 45 installed. So kind of some, you know, weird little angles going on. And of course I'm gonna have to cut this roof. I will get to that. Right now I'm going to button up the top and put the remaining screws up here that are not in there yet. And then once the screws are in, I could run a bead of silicone or caulking along this seam. And then I want to paint all of this fascia. Okay, everything is now buttoned up top. I did a couple of little misses. So there's silicone. I basically tried to screw the screw in and I was just off a little bit. And then this is my line that I'm going to cut. So this is, the roof is totally secured. And then down underneath is all, the screw holes are all siliconed. This edge along here is all siliconed. So this is basically ready to paint. As far as cutting this off, I'm not sure if I'm going to try and do that with the hand snips or if I'm going to get some kind of a, maybe I'll use like a cutoff wheel or something. I don't know. I'm going to think on that for a bit. Okay. So all I did right now is just paint the fascia, the outboard part, and then the bottom. All the rafters and all the purlins and everything are going to get painted as well. I just wanted to get a coat on the exterior portion because that is what the rain hits and the sun hits. So I just want to get some protection on that wood as soon as possible. My little 45s look pretty nice up there. Down at this end, little 45 there, and then the 45 going across. And then I still got to figure out how I'm going to cut that. I mean, I could do it with shears, with my hand shears, but I just want to make sure that it's a nice clean cut. So I may end up buying a metal blade for my, or a metal cutting blade for my saw. I do have blades that are made for cutting metal, so I might end up doing that. But yeah, man, this thing is technically, this is dried in now. So the roof is on, everything's attached, siliconed, painted, the rafters, the fascia, the purlins. There's beads of silicones on the long edges, where the, you know, and one of the things too that I was talking about, which is why I wanted to cut in my purlins into the rafters. So if you remember on the video where I was doing those, that's because I wanted this roof to be nice and tight right down. So when I get ready to do my my siding, it's going to go all the way up to the roof, and then I'll have little cutouts around the purlins. So all that you'll see is just the purlin coming out of the siding, and then the siding will go all the way up to the roof, and then I'll run a bead of silicone along there, and then, you know, the siding will get painted, the purlins will get painted. Everything should look pretty nice. So even though, like I was saying, I don't think that I had my form totally square. I mentioned that a little earlier in the video, because when I went to put the roof panels on, when I put them square, they weren't square with the shed. So it was just off a little bit. If you notice a couple of these panels up here, let's see this one right here. If you can see that, it's sticking out a little bit further. And then this one was quite a bit. So I may end up trimming this as well, just to make it a little bit more lined up, flush looking. So what I was doing at the beginning is I was lining up the panels to each other rather than squaring them up to the carport roof, which is what I should have done. And I would have had a stagger on each one, but it wouldn't have been as bad as this one. So that's a good inch right there, maybe just over an inch, which is fine. I mean, I can trim that up and kind of just do it on a taper until it meets out with this, or maybe I'll trim the whole thing. If I end up getting a metal cutting blade for my radial saw, then it'll be real quick. It'll just be clamping on a 2x4 and then just run a line down the whole thing, and then I won't have to worry about it. One reason why I didn't want to do that is because then the coating that is on the roofing panel, now the metal will be exposed, so I'll have to touch it up with something, otherwise it'll just start rusting, kind of like the old roofing panel was. But anyway, I am going to call that a video. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I just want to say thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and another video will be coming shortly. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Aloha.